Norfolk Business Show with Danny Snelling. Sponsored by MT Comms.
Right, so Adam, we got you in the studio finally.
Yes, thanks for having us.
That's right, great to have you. I'm sure you don't need much of an introduction. Everybody knows you in Norwich now.
Well, hopefully for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely for the right reasons. But I think you've had a real success story, and we've known each other a lot of years. And about time you sort of got that story out there, I think. So,
Thanks so much.
what's the main business What's the business everyone knows you for?
It was Loads4Less. So we specialise in domestic and commercial removals, storage, house clearances, and packing, and all that sort of jazz that goes with it. So been established 15 years now, believe it or not. It's gone quick.
It has, yeah. I think we started our businesses right the same year, 2009, wasn't it? Or 10. So that's what you're doing now. What were you doing before that? What were you doing? What made you get into that? Start right from the beginning. Where'd you grow up? That sort of thing.
So I'm a bit of a man of the world, as I'd like to say. So I was born in Gorleston.
Well, that's Norfolk.
Yeah. Norfolk, so I was born in Norfolk, which is good.
It's quite rare on this show, being called the Norfolk Business Show. We keep getting these interlopers come in here, and but yeah, go on.
I am a bit of a mixed one, because obviously after being born in Norfolk, my parents had an estate agent in Bradwell. Did quite well. He won this sort of news agents of the year 1985, something like that, and they give him some money, a holiday to Tenerife, and all this sort of stuff. So at the time when my dad came back, he thought, you know what, I'm gonna sell up, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna move out to the north of Tenerife, in the Canary Islands. So off we went. They packed, and we didn't have much choice in the matter at the time. and we all moved out as a family. So my brother, my mum, and my dad, they moved to the sort of the north of Tenerife. So I grew up in the Canary Islands. I was there for 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that, mate.
Wow. A little bit different. So I went to an international school out there, which was, well, it was British. It was a lot of international students, but it's the British Yeowood School. So I went there for the first few years. And then I think basically my dad ran out of money for the private school, and then I sort of got put into a Spanish public school, which was really tough. That's probably one of the first challenges, apart from moving as young. That's probably one of the first challenges that I've overcome, because I've got these different periods in my life that's been really challenging, like most people. Yeah. But just where you really remember it and think, that was a process to go through.
So did you learn the language?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm fluent, obviously, with the Spanish schools and all that sort of stuff. Así que podemos hacer la entrevista en español si tú quieres. Or we can do it in English if you want. So I went to the international school, then I went to the private school. And over there, it's a bit like America, I think, where if you don't pass all your exams, you don't go up a year.
Oh, right.
So
that happened every year, did it?
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I had 18-year-olds there, and I was about 14 in my class. So it was quite comical, and it was fun. So I did a lot of private lessons. My dad put me into private tuition and stuff to get up to speed, because the Spanish level of education was quite higher than what we were here. So I had to sort of catch up 2 years ahead of me. And then the way that things...
learn the language.
Yeah. So luckily enough, because I was so young, your brain's like a sponge, so you do pick it up really quickly. And being out in the streets with your friends and all this sort of stuff, we picked up all the sort of...
the
being able to
way to talk rather than the textbook. Yeah.
So that was that, really. I was never really good at school, never really academic. So that didn't go.
So was your dad selling houses out there?
Yeah, my dad had an estate agent in the end. Yeah. So he went out there to retire. I think things didn't go as he'd planned. And then he started sort of just with an estate agent, and he was just bringing customers in and all this sort of stuff. And then he became a partner of that estate agent. He was in that estate agent for about 35 years.
Wow.
35 years. He then started a couple of construction companies out there as well. Very clever man. He had a really weird Spanish accent, which was great. But my God, he knew all the paperwork and the ins and outs and the legalities. I mean, people used to come to him just to say, look, Mick, what does this mean? And you think, well, how does a man with such a dodgy accent understand all this?
Yeah. And I guess it was that translation of their rules between our rules.
Yeah. Very trusted man, a very good businessman. I think he made a few schoolboy errors now as I see it. But I think that's what's made me probably not make those things, with him obviously telling us as we were growing up. So, so yeah, very clever man. Lost him 13 years ago, bless him. He was still out in Tenerife. He'd always stayed out there. So he's sort of my inspiration. It's almost like he was never, I was probably in a different stage of my life when he was still alive, but sort of never felt that I made him proud. He probably had all the other side of things rather than the proud. So for me, it's more about making him proud and actually trying to almost like, in my head, I want to show your dad that I can do better than you did in a way, you know.
Well, at least you started the business presumably before he left this earth. So known a bit
he actually came up with a name.
Did he?
Yeah. So he came up with a name. He used to get up stupid o'clock in the morning, a bit like I do now.
Write things down.
And just be working on stuff. And he was in Tenerife at the time. I had a pub here at the time, and he said, "Here you go, boy." He goes, "There's a few names here. What do you reckon?" And I said, "Oh, Loads4Less sounds all right. It could be loads of different stuff." And yeah, he said, and so started up, and 2 years after that, just as I started up, things started getting busier, and he passed away, bless his heart. But he was my main man, someone I looked up to, always listened to his advice and took it where I could, mostly professionally. Personally, I didn't do very good, but yeah, so yeah, but quite a fun background. So I wouldn't say I come from an underprivileged background or anything like that. I came from a good family that done the best for us. At the time, you know, we were brought up with palm trees, sun, beaches, all this sort of stuff. And he'd say, people give their right arm to be here, boy. And I didn't appreciate it at the time. Yeah. So I thought, well, I know no difference. Now I really do. Yeah. Just having the language.
So what did you get up to in between, 22, was it you left there? Or?
Yeah, I left there at 28. So I left there at 28.
Work over there, though?
I worked over there. So at 16, I dropped out of college. I actually went to business college, to business, started doing business studies. Again, that didn't work out because I wasn't too academic. So I dropped out about 16. My dad put me in his estate agency for a little while. It was to pay a lot of motorbike fines, to be fair. I'd ramped up a lot of motorbike fines. So he said, look, you have to work for me and I'll pay them off slowly. And since then, I've never missed a bill in my life because I thought, you know what, I'm never going to get that. I had 32 motorbike fines at one point. Shit. Yeah, so...
by the way, I can swear on here.
So yes, I worked for him for a little while. It was the boom of the construction then. Hotels were going up left, right and centre everywhere. A lot of my friends were going to the south of the island, working on hotels, making really good money. And then obviously at that age, you're thinking, right, I want to do some of this. So I was in the building trade for quite a lot of years, but also did, before that actually, a lot of waitering jobs and stuff as well. So I was a doorman at 19 in a Cuban place, in a Cuban club. That was eye-opening, character building, yeah.
Well, if you know what I'm saying, you're a big lad. Were you that big, you know?
Yeah, I was quite a big chap.
Yeah.
I was quite a big chap, and I sort of did a sport out there, a very typical sport, which is called lucha canaria, which is Canarian wrestling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was, at the age of 15, I was the sub-champion of the Canary Islands, and I was the only English bloke in the history of the sport, and I was sub-champion of Canary Islands. It's like in sand, it's almost like a mixture of sort of sumo and judo, if you like to say. So if you're a big lump there, over here you'd probably do rugby. Over there it's like Canarian wrestling. So yeah, that was great.
Never heard of that. I'll have to
have a look. There's a video contest, some videos of me when I was young with long hair when I was in the selection of Tenerife I found the other day, which is fun.
Wow.
But yeah.
And then what made you come home, I guess? What made you, or not home, but what made you come for England?
Number of reasons, really. My dad and I, we all spoke about, he said, you know, you're too Canarian. I'd only come back to England in 22 years. I'd come back twice. So my main language was Spanish. My English was terrible because I only studied in English school until I was about 12 or 13. So my vocabulary was up to about that level. And apart from me speaking to my mum and dad at home, so everything else was Spanish. I had a Spanish girlfriend. I was in the construction, so that was all with Canarians. I lived up in the mountains with the locals. So I was probably more Canarian. And my dad always said, look, you know, why don't you go over back to the UK, just to open your mind, open your brain, so to a bit more of the European culture as well, so you're a bit more of an all-rounder. And that always sort of stuck in the back of my head, and didn't really do anything for a number of years. And then my mum had come over here, And then I sort of split up with my girlfriend at the time, which was like my first girlfriend. I thought, well, I'm going to move back to England and see. And that was challenge number 2. That was that was the hardest thing I'd done. So from coming to a place that didn't even have trains, I'd never been on a train before, on a small little island where south's that way, north's that way, and if you want to go over the mountain, you go that way. So a bit of a culture shock.
Did you go to the other islands though?
I went to lots of islands. Worked in La Gomera. I went to Fuerteventura as well. Lanzarote I didn't go to. La Gomera, El Hierro. Pretty much all of them. A lot of the people would just when the construction was really at its highest, people would just jump from island hopping and just going where the work was really, and which is what I did. And then when I came here, I started at Anglia Windows because I didn't know the system. I didn't know in the building trade there, you just knock on the door, speak to the foreman, have you got any work, and away you went. Here it's CS cards, tickets for this, tickets for that, and it's like, wow. And then the cold as well, I couldn't get used to. I
bet. Yeah.
That was tough. I come with a suitcase full of shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops, which didn't really go down too well. So. Yeah.
But where did you live? Did you have somewhere to live? Or?
Well, I came back to Norwich because I had family here and I didn't really know where else to go. Although I was 28, I felt a bit like a scared child because you are wrapped up in the Canary Islands. They're very small, and back then people didn't travel too much out of them as such. Neither it's more like travelling within the islands.
Norfolk people need
a bit like that. Yeah. So then I came here. So I came to Norwich because I thought, well, my mum's here. I've got some cousins here. Things, and I ended up living in a bedsit in Rolleston Close in West Earlham. Shared a house there with some Greek students, which was an experience. I had a little pink bedroom, had all Barbie wallpaper in, so I fitted in a treat. And I was working I got a job with an agency, or signed up to an agency. It was Hayes at the time, and I was sweeping floors for Anglia Windows. So I was sweeping floors, cleaning offices because I had to pay my mortgage over there. So I left the house, and I left my ex-girlfriend in it, and I obviously didn't want to leave her in a pickle. So I was doing like 17, 18-hour days to try and cover the mortgage. And until I saw the tax you pay here, at the time in Tenerife, you'd pay like 2% on your wage slip. And I came here, and I was on emergency tax. I thought, someone's ripped me off. So a little bit, until I got the hang of it, it's like, oh, this is tax. This can't be right. So I really worked hard. And my way, Danny, has always been, if I don't like something, work even harder to get out of it quicker. So that was it. So prove what you can do, and then knock on someone's door and say, don't ask for something that you don't deserve yet. Show what you're worth, show your value, and then knock on somebody's door. So I've sort of always kept that mindset. So from Anglia Windows, that then developed to getting a CSCS card, going into the building trade, working, doing groundworks, and then I got a job with a really good friend of mine now, Phil, that worked for a company called Gills at the time. That was my first full-time job, which was brilliant. And for me, it was like, I've got a full-time job. I can't what was that doing? It. That was in the building trade. They called me an improver. I started off as a labourer, but because I had the skills from Tenerife that I'd learned on site, I did a lot of ceramic tiling out there, a lot of block work and rendering, and we'd do that on a price. So I learned that, but I didn't have any qualifications as such. And over there, you just learnt on the job. Yeah, that's how it worked. And so I came here, and it's, you need this, you need that. When I worked with Gills, again, I showed them what I could do before I knocked on their door saying, look, So I tiled, Phil, one of my really good friends. He sort of said, look, Adam, he goes, well, have a go, do it. I said, I'll tile this bathroom for you, Phil. That can save you getting the subbies in and save you some money. So I'll do it. So I tiled one, then I tiled another. Sort of got to the time where to do 3 or 4 of them, and he said, "Right, okay." I said, "Well, any chance of a pay rise? I've saved you a load of money." So, and that's how I did it. And then I start doing a bit of flint work with him and other stuff. So, but then it was the cold. The cold really got me, especially outside. I didn't understand it when it rained in Tenerife. You just went home, because that's it. You just went home and you went to the bars. Over here it was freezing cold. I remember I worked on site at this. It was a Morrison's site back then, and we went to work. And I got a train. I used to bike from West Earlham because I didn't have a car then, down to the train station really early. Get on the train, go there, and then I remember going into the sand, bong, and it was frozen cold, and I went. And I had so many layers. My face is burnt because of the cold. I thought, we've got to go home. They said, no, you dig in the middle. get the stuff out of the middle. I said, we can't work with this. It's frozen. And no, we did.
That explains being in here. I'm boiling hot.
Oh,
You said that's lovely in here.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey.
Yeah, I had no idea about any of that. So that's quite enlightening, and I'm sure no one else did. So
yeah, it's not really one I sort of broadcast.
You would have thought some little bit of Spanish accent would have followed you here, but it hasn't at all. No idea.
And the thing is, I've got a Canarian accent, so it's really strange. So I've got a Canarian accent when I speak Spanish, and I've got an English or a weird sort of English accent when I speak English.
I can't even hear it. never knew that one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then, find yourself back here, lots of different jobs in construction. What made you want to get out or away from that? Is it just...
I lost my driving licence, to be completely honest. Yeah, I had some habits. I had some bad habits from Tenerife that I followed through here, and they aren't quite as lenient in this country.
They're not, are they?
No, it's so that was a bit disappointing. But at the same time, at some time, I needed a little reminder of that, and So I lost my driving licence. Just going back to that point where you said we can edit some parts out of it.
Yeah, we can.
That might be a part you want to edit out of it.
It's history, and everyone's got a history.
It's all good. So I lost my driving licence, and I remember, luckily enough, as soon as I got my full-time licence, I'd got some money out of my house in Tenerife. Not much, because I wanted to make sure my ex-girlfriend was okay, but I got some money out of the house in Tenerife. And I started spending it because I'd never had a chunk of money. It was only like 20 grand or something like that. But I'd worked. I had my first property at 19. So I'd worked, bought another one, listened to my dad. Oh, you ought to get this, boy. Boom. Bought two, done them up, bought another one. Yeah. And I had a really nice property. But I left that one behind, got a little bit of money out from my ex-girlfriend. And then I started just going crazy spending it. I went on holiday, took my brother, took my cousin and all this. And soon it goes. And you don't get many lump sums in life. No. And it was like, well, I need to put this to good use. So as soon as I had the full-time job, I then bought a little flat, which I still own now, and I rent it out. Lovely little flat it was. And so going back to the bit where I lost my driving licence, I didn't have enough money to pay the mortgage at the time because things just had a really bad year, basically, due to myself. I'll take accountability for it. And I used to go to this little pub down the corner where the flat was. So I was quite well known there, and one of the landlords said, "Look, do you want to take over a pub?" I said, "Look, I need to do something." I said, "Anyone that knows me, though, pubs and I don't go too well, but we haven't got much to lose." So he said, "Right." He said, "Can you move into?" He said, "Can you move it?" So I got my pub license, and that was through the Dole. I think it's the only time I've actually signed on. But they sort of, if you guarantee a job at the end of it, they help you out with stuff like that. Or they did back then. So I got a pub license, and then he came up to me one day and said, "Adam," on a Sunday, he said, "Adam, can you move into the Hart in Cossey?" And I went, "Yeah, when?" He said, "Now." I went, "Okay, yeah." I went, "I guess, yeah, let's do it." He said, "Oh, okay." So I thought everything was good. So the flat, we moved in there, and then to find out that the manager had a broken nose and was getting threatened by certain people and all this sort of stuff. So I thought, oh, well, this is nice. And it came with a guard dog at the time as well. So I thought, what's going on here? Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun, and I didn't get as much hassle towards the end. So
I'd like to think as maybe you knew how to deal with it better than most.
I think I had a little bit more experience from my previous years, but so that was that. Then from there I went we then took on the Spread Eagle. It was a time when the recession hit. So was it 2008? It'd have been 2008, wouldn't it? Yeah. 7, 8, yeah. So the recession had hit. The pub industry was suffering as well, and they basically said, "Look, if you take on the pub, we'll rent you out for £1 a week. The barrelage price will give you a really good deal, and make sure you don't lose money because it saves them putting caretakers in there." So I sort of did that, and I had quite a following. My friends, I had quite a following, and we did all right, but it was never going to be long term. Yeah. It was always just to get us out of that. Out of that model at the time, I guess. So, and from the Spread Eagle, I thought, well, I had a friend of mine in the Hart, actually. He was half Spanish as well, and he was sort of doing man with the band bits and pieces as well. He said, "Do you want to come out and help me?" And I said, "Yeah, just to get out for a bit." So I was helping him doing removals and stuff, and then he came up to me one day and said, "Did you want to buy the business?" He said, my knees are are getting bad and things like that. And I sort of want to change. So I basically just bought his website off him, and then from there, sort of developed it. And we were working at the pub still at the time, started buying information off lead generation companies and all this, started advertising. Then I hired a van, I had about £500. I hired a van, got some flyers done, and started putting them through chip shops and through doors, and started escalating. Once it had got to the stage where we could sort of earn a steady living.
Did it have the name then, or was it just
it was just Man with a Van then? And then it was when my dad jumped in and said, oh, there's a few names, why don't you call it this? And it was Loads4Less. And I thought, well, no one knows what that means, so I just put a strap line underneath, need a man with a van. So it sort of said what it was. And we're just moving people's sofas and just doing real honest work, which for me, I really, really enjoyed it, to be fair. You're meeting different people all the time, you're providing a good service. And I saw a gap in the market back then. There wasn't a massive amount of people doing it back then in Norfolk, or Norwich, sorry. And all I found I had to do is just be reliable and just do what you said you were going to do. Yeah. Just turn up.
Were you still doing the pub as well at that point?
Yeah. Still doing the pub. And then as soon as it started getting to a stage where I thought, because it's like, it'd be good when we have 1 job a week or 2 jobs a week. It started getting more removal. And then the diary started filling up. And then it's like, right, okay, well, we're ready to move out of here. And that pub, I was the last landlord in the Spread Eagle.
Really?
Yeah. So that got then turned into a house. And and then the journey for Loads4Less sort of started, which has been really interesting.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I never thought I'd do anything like that. It's complete different to anything I thought.
Was there ever a time where you, well, presumably did, you sat down and worked out, well, it could grow like this, or it could...
Yeah. So it started, I'd probably say year 2, I thought this is now just a snowball effect. I thought it can't ever not keep growing.
Yeah.
At that stage.
Yeah.
Now it's different. Now it's more of a structured business.
Well, you've probably got more competition now.
And there's a lot more. Yeah, there
back
is.
Then, I imagine it was just you versus the normal.
Yeah, and I didn't have to cover many costs at the time neither. Yeah. But what I always did, I'd never classed that money as mine. I put it in a proper business account and things, paid myself a wage, and I always just left the pot just building up to then invest again. So I've always made a little bit and spent it in what I think is the right areas. So I've never had big cash injections, or I never had any cash to begin with. And that mindset seems to stay with you as well. You can't just get over that. It's like, all right, well, we spend it on, right, let's hold back on that. We'll spend it on this. And, and it sort of just, it escalated from there. Bought another van, took on some employees, took on one. And then it sort of just, started from there. Thought, well, this is now, from what was just an experiment and to do something, this is now, I can see a future with this. Yeah. And what do we do? So that's really how it started.
It's interesting that I know you've got that mindset now where everything is calculated, everything is. Really good with your numbers and just trying new things and trying marketing and all sorts of different things. But it's interesting that you had those thoughts early on as well, because very often they're not learned until a lot further on down the road. They're almost learned by mistakes.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. But you presumably, at what point did you start taking on other staff, or
it's probably
was it straight away, or was it?
It's probably after about a year and a half. That's then about a year and a half, 2 years in. I started taking on other staff, and I bought another van. So I bought one van eventually after my hire ran out on the first one. I bought one, and my idea was it was the football. I'm not big at football. It was a World Cup or whatever. And I thought, right, well, if I was going to stay in the pub until the end of the World Cup, hopefully make enough money to pay the van off. But we got eliminated like in the first thing or whatever. So ended up I was strapped up for about 4 years. So that didn't happen. But then when I bought the second van, took on a friend of mine as well. Dan, he came on board. And then I had children, things changed. Then my dad died. Selfish of him. but
interesting touching on that, because you were without almost thinking it, you were setting yourself goals. At what point you changed things? So you said you had this World Cup in mind for the target to pay off the van, but that was a target nonetheless. It was a pretty vague one. No, it's still I would imagine set you in good stead for future years just by setting yourself those targets. Albeit
a lot of things have just come as common sense. A lot of things have come as common sense, and that might be a bit of the background of my dad. Now, I'm no business guru whatsoever.
And you think it's common sense, but actually it's not. It's a lot of that is learned over years of running a business.
Yeah. So I guess, sometimes I do put myself down a little bit, and it wasn't until the other day. I mean, I've started doing this journaling. I'm on this personal growth development sort of thing, and I've started doing these journals and stuff, and I've got a list of all the things that I've achieved, all the things that I want to achieve, and things like that. And it wasn't until I started writing it down. It's really good. It's really good to set up the day as well. Now I start seeing all the things that I have actually done, and you think, do you know what? I put myself down, but because I've done it in the same business, I'm helping a couple of people actually now with startups. And for me, again, it's common sense to have been there, but I've just fast-tracked him no end. Yeah. And it's really nice to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, what's all that about? Tell me more.
So I'm mentoring a couple of people. I'm mentoring someone to get back into work, and then I've got a couple of friends of mine that are setting up on their own. One's is gone through some bits and pieces as well that we're quite passionate about, and he's becoming a life coach. But he didn't. He's got the knowledge, he's got the tools, but he didn't have the structure of the framework. So what we've been doing is we've been meeting once a week, and I'm sort of providing him with almost some business coaching, and he's helping me with the life coaching side of things. Oh, wow. So we're a guinea pig for each other. Yeah. Because I'm quite passionate about
So it
business.
Wasn't some, other entity put you together and said, right.
No, this is
some mentoring scheme or
no,
something.
But I'm doing that with a charity called New You as well, where I'm helping people that are struggling to get back into employment. So I'm mentoring at one chap at the moment to help him get back into employment, build the confidence and things like that, and really enjoying it, to be fair. I mean, it's just I get a real thrill out of helping people, and especially if they take advantage of it, and to see them develop at the end is really rewarding for me. That's more rewarding than any money, to be fair.
Honestly, that sounds scripted, but if you knew Adam, it's what he does most of his life, and you've always been one to help.
I get actually quite emotional when I talk about that sort of stuff.
You do, mate. And just charity in general, you're always doing something. What are you doing in a couple of weeks' time? I'm
doing the Strictly Come Dancing for the Big C, along with.
I can see you doing that.
So that's going to be quite fun. Again, anyone that knows me knows that's not my sort of. I'm not a 22 stone a man gliding across the dance floor. Mine's probably more physical and contact sport rather than dancing. But it's it's definitely be fun.
I've certainly ordered a table right by the dance floor.
Thank you.
But no, that is going to be good, and obviously for a good cause as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, sorry, we've sort of skipped ahead now. So where are we up to? Started growing the business, haven't we? And I guess it's getting legs now. It's starting to earn good money, I would imagine.
Yeah, it started doing good money. As I say, then so there's been a number of challenges, and I actually spoke about this at a House Percival breakfast event not long back. So I'm not going to go too into depth in it, but so I was just explaining how your personal life affects us small business owners, and where do we go for the support and the help? It can be quite lonely when you're at the top.
Absolutely.
And how do you get yourself out of a pickle? So when my dad passed away, that hit me really hard. At the time, my coping mechanisms weren't the best. So that sort of threw me off for probably about 3 years, where I didn't have my head together. So that brought us into like year 5. And then I managed to get myself back on track, really started training hard, changed my lifestyle, this, that, and the other. And that was probably the first when it really started to go for it, or what we thought is, right, I'm now started working with a business coach at the time, started to get a little bit of structure in the business, because I've never worked for a corporate company. I never worked for a company really. Never, especially with job roles or anything like that. They were just alien to me. So I started doing really well. That's when we created the partnership with the Big Yellow. Well, we'd been involved with the Big Yellow previously, but we then moved to the Big Yellow. Started working with them. Things were doing great, and then I got divorced. So again, that was another setback. So that sort of, again, down to coping mechanisms, that probably set me back another 2-3 years again. Yeah. So that then brings us into year 8. Yeah. So all of a sudden, 8 years are gone. You could have been a lot better, but I don't believe the time was right at the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Things come at the right time.
You touched on there the relationship with Big Yellow. Who instigated that? How did that come about? And
well, I just used to do a lot of student moves down there. And I remember saying to Rob, the manager, I used to, every now and again, I'd go past, I'd put one of my flyers on the pin board, and I'd come back, it's taken off. I thought, oh. So I went, any chance I can keep them up? He said, oh, we recommend to some other people. I said, oh, okay, no worries, I'll leave it like that. And then at Christmas, because I used to go down there quite a lot, I just took some cupcakes and some bits and pieces in. I just said, here you go, just thanks ever so much for support. And then from that, just escalated, oh, should we have a meeting? And
because I don't know if you just think it's normal, but it's not. You know, the way you've grown and the way you've kind of partnered with so many businesses is massively entrepreneurial. It is really clever, and you've been really good at it over the years. And you've been into the estate agent, my estate agent, and just, you know, met the team and said hello and put a name, you know, face to the name, and that is really clever because it's building relationships. And people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And,
thank you.
You know, the fact you twig that works, you know, with probably not anyone telling you, you know, this is how it's done, I think is a secret, one of the secrets to your success, because it's, you know, it's really how business works, isn't it? And, you know, I know you have so many partnerships with so many different businesses, and, you know, even being able to offer financial incentive is great, you know, because it's like we don't give it to, we don't have it in the business. We give it to the staff member who recommends you. So, you know, it's a little win for them. So they're more inclined to actually recommend you, and it benefits us because it, you know, it's our offering becomes better.
Well, I've never been one for taking advantage. If anything, I've given more than I've taken ever, and I don't go to a specific reason to people. I do it just naturally. So that's probably why I'm not a great networker, although I've been networking quite a lot, part of my process of pushing myself out of my comfort zone. But naturally, I prefer to give people, and it gives me more satisfaction to make someone happy than actually, you know, it's
no, I get it. I get it. And I think I've said to you
I think you're pretty much the same as well.
We almost spend too much time trying to help others out, or just networking and not actually asking for the business.
Yeah.
So we touched on charity work. Tell me about the Ukraine trip.
That was an experience. So we did that with I did that with my good friend Steve Pym, Stuart as well, Monument, Pimmy's partner, and also Joe Patterson from Angland Plant Hire. So when that happened, we thought, right, what can we do to help here? So we put our heads together. We actually funded the first trip ourselves. Steve and myself went out there. I'd like to say now that we beat the other team. There's been an ongoing joke about how they did it quicker than us, but I think we must just taken a longer route. I'm not sure.
That's like detour.
But we went out there. We drove out there. We drove to the border of Ukraine. We drove to went to Poland on the border. It was quite. That was a hell of an experience. It didn't really think about it. You just do things. I just do things through impulse. But it wasn't until you start going and you start getting close and you see busloads of people, an army going in, busloads of people coming out, and I'm going, Steve, this is now starting to look a little bit sketchy. And he's dressed with the Ukrainian colours. And I said, well, he goes, no, it's a subliminal message. He's got the yellow hat on from the Lakers, which is and a blue top. I said, well, I don't know, is that or it's a sniper's dream? I said, one of the two. If we go up in flames, we're going to go out for advertising, that's for sure. So we went out there, dropped off a lot of medical supplies, met with the army out there in a secret location. So it had to be it was all secret locations at the time. Met out there, and we delivered all the goods to the army, then came back. Stuart and then Joe went. And with this, there was some really generous donations from local businesses. We raised £15,500 and then started sending Arctic lorries out. There was about 5 Arctic lorries that went out with medical supplies and bits. So that's we're quite proud of that one.
No, you should be.
Yeah.
But the very fact you were there yourselves and sending us pictures of it.
Yeah, it was great.
What other charity stuff have you done? I know there's been so many, but
each we helped when the hospice was being built. So we were donating a lot of our stuff for the clearance services. There's been, now we're working with New You. As I say, apart from the mentoring side of things, I couldn't help when I went in to do the mentor. I said, right, well, where'd you get your clothes from? So they do the swap shop. They've got a swap shop in Castle Mall. It's a great concept. Take some old clothes in. They'll give you some tokens for them, and then you can swap those tokens for clothes in the store. Yeah. So I was like, well, I've got loads of clothes, and they've got an honesty library. I've got loads of books. So straight away, your brain's ticking. How can I help these guys?
Yeah.
So started working with a mentee. That then developed into let's work with the charity, and let's start seeing what we can do to support them as well. Share the same values as us. I think that's very important. That anyone I work with, I always make sure they share the same values. I think that's very important for a long-lasting relationship. And then we're working now with the council as well, with the Help Hub. So people that are in need, people that may be fleeing domestic violence, coming out of some sort of situation, people that are trying to get themselves back on their feet. We're now donating items of furniture and preparing some packs and boxes for them as startups. So we've got all the bits and pieces. And in all fairness, it really helps us with our sustainability strategy, helps them get them started, and it gives me a buzz. So it works for everybody. And yeah, we've already started that relationship. And now what I'm looking for is more charities to work with and organisations. The reason I say charities and organisations is I can donate a lot of the items and I can donate a little bit of my time, but I can't be dealing generally with every member of the public, although I do on the side anyway, and friends and all that. But yeah, we're looking to work with more organisations and just have more of an impact. I believe if you work in collaboration, you've got more of an impact and you can help more people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and completely unselfishly, it's brand awareness for you as well, isn't it? So you've got to say you're getting a bit back from it.
Yeah.
And just deserved as well, because it's it's something you're piling your time, money, and effort into, and it's absolutely.
Well, I find I
know you don't think of it like that, but
no,
that's the way.
Well, as I say, I think I found for years I was in a different environment. As I say, I didn't feel I was good enough to be in the business community. I was one of those people that I couldn't stand. I didn't want to go to the network, and I didn't have the talk. I haven't got the talk. I haven't got the mannerisms. It's just me, And yeah, for years I was probably helping the wrong people in a way. That people that would just take advantage. Of situations, and take advantage of my I suppose my heart in a way, and now it's great to actually do things and have the resources. I'm really grateful to have the resources to be able to help other people as well. And this is just the start. Yeah, this is just the very start.
So, what is planned for the future then? I know you're big on
sustainability.
Sustainability.
Yes, there's lots of things in the pipeline. So,
obviously, vans aren't quite there yet, are they?
Vans aren't quite there. We have renewed the fleet, so we've got the fleet, so they're all run on more fuel efficient and things like that. Electric at the minute is out of the question. We go all over the country. So where we're at, just going back to the business side of things again. We got to a stage where all this information was in my head. I didn't really know what to do. My dad's already dead, so I couldn't ask him for any advice. So it's like, right, who do I ask now? Very blessed, Steve Pimmy helps me. I almost got a business plan out of him on the way to Ukraine, so that worked out well. But probably about four years ago, made some massive life changes. Really I changed my way, factory setted myself, as I say, and downloaded all the apps that I wanted to. So I changed absolutely everything. And then I started developing. So I had all this, I said, well, I'm going to throw myself into business. And in myself, I could concentrate one on myself, because I had to get myself out of this situation I was in. So I concentrated, number one, on myself for about a year. Andy, who's my best friend, who was my manager there for 12 years, can't thank him enough, will always be really grateful to him. He sort of kept the business afloat while I was concentrating on myself. And what comes with concentrating on yourself, because like they say, the best investment you can make is in yourself. And I can vouch for that, because once that happened and I started investing in myself, all the other things started just coming together naturally.
Into place, yeah.
And so what that then, it took me on a journey where I all of a sudden, from dropping out of college at 16, from not really knowing reading and writing English a massive amount, I started studying. So I thought, right, well, where are we taking this? We know I want to go nationwide. I've had that. I've always seen that vision. I had this vision of having little porta cabins dotted all over the place in the key areas of where we go to save on carbon emissions, so we can tie in jobs and bits and pieces. So, so I started studying. I did a scale-up course, which was for high growth and strategy. So that then helped me create the vision, just went out there crazy, where we want to be, I want to take over the world. And then I started breaking it down. And then it started giving me, helped me with my long, my short-term objectives. For a lot, that might just be common sense. For me at the time, it wasn't. So that then helped me develop a business plan and then a structure to the business and what roles I was going to need to hit what targets. So that really helped. A lot of the things I knew from experience, but it's almost like someone was giving you the last piece of the puzzle and going, there you go. And it was all coming together. Yeah. You're like, wow, that's how you do it. Yeah. So that then, and I really struggled. The first one I really, really struggled, but I hit this wall. And then when I come the other side and I was using it straight away, implementing it in the business. And because it was funded, the courses were, and we had these growth coaches and stuff there. I was immediately, as soon as we'd done one trial, I put it straight into the business. And can I get some feedback? Because I know these guys aren't cheap neither. So I was putting it straight back into the business. That then gave me this bug because I started creating then what I could see. The vision was starting to be mapped out on paper. And then I was like, right, okay, this is really good. So am I a good, I struggled with staff and on the vans, I struggled to maintain them. It's a physical demanding job and they have to fit certain requirements. So it's like I struggled with that. So what can I do to make sure I'm doing it right? I'm going to do a leadership and management course. So to help me be better leader and to develop my team. So I did a level 3 and then I did a level 5 in leadership and management. So all of a sudden my managing skills again developed. A lot of things again made sense. And again, it was like that piece of puzzle being put together. And it's like, right, okay, so let's bring up the team. Bring up the team. And at the time you train and you know that some people are going to be uncomfortable with the change. You're going to lose some people along that journey. Yeah. And one of them was my best friend, Andy. All good though. And it's brilliant to see him doing so well and grow as a person. And since then it's made me grow as well because I relied on him so much. Yeah. And he helped me out for a very sticky time when he, he's there 12 years. So I started on that journey as well. And then that helped me bring the team members up. And I guess, well, I retain a lot better staff now as well. Staff's always a complicated one.
It's always going to be worse.
So where we're going and the partnerships we've created is something I'm really proud of. So we work with a lot of estate agents now, and that's been part of the strategy. But we work with a lot of estate agents, we work with a lot of solicitors, and we're working with a lot of charities, and we're working with the council closely as well. We've just created a 12-month partnership with them as well, where we're going to be working closely with them as well, and to try and have more of an impact on the local community. Part of that and the sustainability strategy is as well, I'm getting support of Larkin Gowan, who are my accountants, who have been absolutely brilliant. Martin, Laurie and Will and the team there have been brilliant. So they saw the sort of passion that I shared for reducing carbon emissions, recycling and things like this. And I actually went with another accountant before them that specialised in carbon accounting. That went terribly wrong. And that really gave me, at the time when I was training, investing in new vehicles, investing in teams, and that went terribly wrong. They couldn't deliver on what they said, unfortunately, and that gave me some really bad anxiety because I didn't have a P&L for like 4 months, and I was investing. I
remember we had a good chat.
Yeah.
I think I brought up Larkin Gowan actually.
So that gave me severe anxiety. So I was like, I don't want to feel like this again. So Larkin and Gowan got me out of a pickle, spare the moment, and last minute, which I'm really grateful for. And then I trained myself up on my account. So I now do all my bookkeeping. I do my VAT returns, and then because I didn't want to feel like that again. I thought I will not feel how I felt like that again.
I thought the secret of a successful business owner is to do what you're good at. Sounds like you're good at everything.
Well, no. What I've done is I don't want to be the best at everything, but I want to know how to control every aspect of my business.
You don't want to know what they're doing.
And I want to know that. And it's almost like the business. I've made loads of changes with the software we've made that's helped us go paperless and making us more efficient. And
I need to talk a bit about that because the whole idea is to talk technology as well.
Yeah.
So, what is that software? How are you implicating IT and technology, and goodness knows what else?
So basically, the training I did, then helped me work on the efficiency of the business. How that looked was looking through every single system we use, how our boys operate, how our office operates, and just document absolutely everything. and look at how we can become more efficient and be more efficient and provide a better service with at the same time having the sustainability factor in vision as well. So we then automated everything, although we had other systems as well. We took on a system which is what all the bigger companies use now, which is called MoveMan Pro. Now, that's been a journey as well, because I had to set that up. I've been a year on it so far, so there's been some real mess ups, some hiccups and along the way, but I've learned from it. But we went through every single system, including our payment system, our phone systems, which you guys do, and all our different software, and just getting the most out of absolutely everything. So, like I said, it's like the business has shook me up, said, look, you're now taking Loads4Less to Loads4Less 2.0. Boom, 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 shake up, you've got to learn everything again. Here you go. Yeah. And me and computer systems do not go. But I have made a point now of how I change my brain and how I change my mindset, because everything stems from simply a thought. That's where everything comes from.
Yeah. I'm no good at computers. If you say that enough, then you're not going to be any good at computers.
Exactly. But, yeah. So every time I say I'm no good at something now, I don't like doing it, I say to myself, I'm going to make that become one of my strong points. So slowly when you start saying that, you start becoming less scared of it. You're not telling yourself that, and you start changing the mindset slowly. So I've done a lot of work on my mind. So I'm all about emotions and mindset and how you can change things. And so we've gone through all the systems. We're now 90% paperless, or 100% on all our jobs. That's all through apps on the boys' phones, sign-off sheets, absolutely everything. And I'm very data-driven. And to go where we're going, I need to be. Yeah. And I need to have the systems in place. Now, through this change, it seems that the last 3.5 years, I've just had challenge after challenge after challenge. But I'm still really motivated, and I'm still giving it my best, and I won't give up, because there's been no end of things that have kept coming at me. And I've said, I don't know if I can take anymore, but I still keep going. Yeah. And how we were operating wasn't good enough to take us where we're going. And at the minute, we're still tightening nuts and bolts. So I'm still not giving it full throttle to bring in the business, because I want to be able to deliver. Yeah.
So this is all 2.0. Yeah. What's 3.0 then? Is it franchising? Is it?
Yeah. 3.0 will be Cambridge branch first, then Peterborough branch and Colchester branch. And then after that, we'll be looking into franchising. But we're getting the systems in place to be able to deal with that first. You see, I suppose you can expand, but we want to expand great. At the end of the day, I'm promoting the business. It's my face that's going out there a lot, which will slow down eventually. And if I say I do something, I do it. Yeah. So I don't want either a member of the team or any system or any process that we do letting us down. So we're tightening all those nuts and bolts. We've been working behind the scene relentlessly for 3.5 years. And when we're ready to go, we'll go. But yeah, going back to how I sidetracked completely, but going back to the Larkin Gowan one, they shared the vision of the sustainability and the carbon. They were looking into carbon accounting anyway. And then they're now with their first client. So we're working with Larkin Gowan and a company called NeoEco, who have been absolutely fantastic as well, which is a company that specializes in ESG software. So we're probably the smallest company that they've got on board. And we're working closely with Larkin Gowan for our sustainability strategy. We've got forecasts and stuff, how we're going to be reducing our carbon emissions. Already we're 40% under any business our size in the industry already, just with the changes we've implemented already.
Wow. And is that the bulk of that saving from just streamlining the
streamlining process and just being aware and accounting for things like still it's very early doors for me to get any accurate in, because the software sits on our accounts package. So it's just working with that, reconciling and seeing, attaching those transactions to the government databases, and we're getting some information behind. So we've probably been about 4 months in total. But where last year, for example, we saved 150 tonne going to landfill from our house clearance services, now we'll be able to show exactly how much that's impacted on our carbon expenditure, which is great.
Wow. So,
sorry, mate.
Cambridge. Yeah. Where? Sorry.
Peterborough and Colchester.
Yeah. Then would that be tied in with yellow?
Well, boxes? Big yellow. That'll be my We work really well with them, and then once we get everything in place, we'll be having that conversation with them. But we need to make sure we're delivering for them as well. Yeah. So we need to be their number one storage client and customer, and then we can start working on the strategy to to moving out there. So yeah, it's really exciting. As you can see, I'm really passionate about the business, self-development, my children are my three passions.
Yeah. So that's 3.0. Thinking beyond that, I guess those 3 stores would units would be one stage, but then the next stage beyond that.
Well,
surely that is.
My roots to Tenerife are sort of in there as well. So my plan, as I was building my strategy, my plan, I've built a personal plan for myself as well. And I'm trying to align them both. Not trying, I am actually aligning them both. So I'm making the business so that I can control that from anywhere. And I want to be more about quality of life.
Say it on there. Oh yeah, work from anywhere, connect. Yeah,
there you go. So yeah, so I'm making the model so we can control that from anywhere. Basically, I've patented the brand Loads4Less for UK and Europe, and I've got connections out in Tenerife. I've got a lot of connections out in Tenerife, and there's a company out there as well, a removal company that does all expats and international moves as well. So that could be another one. At the minute, I've got my eyes set on branching out in the UK first with those little porter cabins where we're at. We always kept those little porter cabins. We operate from there. It's not about the office in it, it's about the location. And the fact that we can pick up that porter cabin and plug that in pretty much anywhere.
You don't have clients come in, do you, really?
Not a massive amount, no. But if we do, it's smart inside, does the job, and we can scatter them all over the place. Scale up and down as you need.
Do you know what? One of the questions I always ask is what's your secret to success? But you just listed about 100 things there that all contribute. And it's clear that the secret of your success is just you, I think. It's just like...
That's really kind of you, Danny. It really is. That's really kind. I mean, I don't think my definition of success, being through what I've been through in my life, as in certain things I've had to change and certain things I've been through, my definition of success is in the mind and is happiness. I've been in some real dark places in my times, and now I'm in a place I'm so grateful to be in, and that for me, I've cracked it.
Yeah.
I've cracked it because it doesn't matter how much money you got in the bank.
Oh, so true.
It's about the mindset you're in. And I've been at both ends, I suppose. Not a millionaire, 'cause I'm far from it, and I'm no business guru, but I'm in a really nice place. I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy the people that are in my life, and I enjoy having control over myself. I've put the work in to deserve to be happy. Everyone deserves to be happy.
Put the work in,
but you have to put the work in, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's my definition of success.
And what are your happy places? What do you do for hobbies and?
A lot of
other than ballroom dancing.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I really enjoy that. I might carry on afterwards.
Really? You're not getting me into that.
You ought to come. It's great.
I'm coming to watch, mate. I'm not coming to take part.
Yeah. Well, Lynn and Richard from the Miller Dance Studio up in Bowthorpe, absolutely brilliant. They've let us have the studio there to rehearse as well. Sam, my dance partner, has been brilliant as well, putting up with me and throwing me around the floor. It's quite comical, actually. On Saturday, we were doing this little routine. She accidentally caught me right on the snout with an elbow. I was like, cool, I must have annoyed her. Made my eyes water. But that was, it's been real good fun. It really has.
Yeah.
So yeah, future things, I guess, are work, get things how they need to be, and bits and pieces with charity, building connections. I want to be the trusted brand in Norfolk and then replicate that in the different areas we start branching out into.
Yeah, well, I just know you're going to smash it, whatever you do. But I don't know. Could you maybe just tell us one thing not many people know about you? Is there any one thing you haven't already mentioned, other than your ballroom dancing capabilities? But
yeah,
I know you like your camper van, don't you?
Oh yeah, I got campers. Yeah, I'm starting a little business up with those as well.
There we go.
So yeah, you'll see very soon. I've got I've got a couple of campers. They're old vans that I've recycled.
Yeah.
So we've got old vans that have been really looked after over the years. So we look after all our vehicles, and we've just had those converted into some camper vans. Really cool. I've been using the R1, and we're now going to start renting them out.
Oh, nice idea.
Yeah. So we're going to rent them out. I've actually bought a domain name, Campers for Less.
Love that.
So I thought, well, you know, we might as well. And what I'll probably do is rent them out one summer, sell them, buy more, and just keep churning them out like that.
I'll be your first client. Mate.
Yeah, mate, definitely.
I always want to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, loads of exciting stuff, and I'm just grateful to be alive, Danny. Grateful to be here with you. Really appreciate your time.
That's great, mate. It's great. Is there one personal business or category you'd like to get in front of from our listeners listening today? Who would you love to? I mean, I know you work with just about every estate agent in Norwich. Are there any you don't or would not want to? Or I don't know. Is there a category there that we can perhaps put you in touch with or put you in front of?
I want to work more with. I'm already working with the council, but I'd like to work with the big housing. Clarion Housing would be great. We do bits for. We've done, and over the years we've done bits for all sorts of different departments of the council. But these big housing companies would be the ones.
Clarion Housing would be a good one.
Yeah.
Any one of you listening knows someone in Clarion Housing, get us in touch. And I guess any housing association like that, Flagship would.
Yes, Flagship. Yeah. Anything like that. Anyone that thinks that we can either contribute to the service they offer, and or we can bring any value, and if you think you can work with me, obviously as well, you know, you've got to be able to work with people, haven't you? So anyone that thinks that I can help, and I generally, when I say it, I generally mean it. If there's anything that my resources can do to help people that need anything, that genuinely need anything, just give me a shout. I'm always open for a conversation. Well,
honestly, I can vouch for you. Adam is one of the most genuine guys I've ever met in business over the years.
Thank you, mate.
And if we can make that happen, I'm sure we will.
Danny, same to you. Really, really pleasure. Thanks ever so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
The Norfolk Business Show. With Danny Snelling. Sponsored by MT Comms.